Hi, my name is Carlos Peña. I'm presently employed by one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, and I want to share with you today some information on accelerated approval for vaccines. What I want to talk to you about is what it takes to get a vaccine approved by the FDA on a fast track, or what we call an accelerated approval. I'm going to share with you some facts that you will need to make a decision on what vaccine should get accelerated approval by the FDA. First of all, I want to share with you what accelerated approval requirements are by the FDA. When a company decides to bring forth and try to get an accelerated approval by the FDA, there are certain criteria they have to meet. One of them is that this vaccine has to prevent a deadly disease, should show clinical potential effect of benefit to the patients, and also should show antibody response where the patient would also benefit from having the vaccine. What I'd like to do now is share with you 3 case scenarios that I would like you to look at, and you be the decider of which one you should fast track as an FDA member. The first one I'd like to share with you is the shingle vaccine. You want to be familiar with what shingles is, but I will tell you right now that shingles went back to my generation when we didn't have the chickenpox vaccine. What happens is, persons that are my age, older than 50, they acquire the disease is still in them, and it's really dormant during this period of time from the time their child disease came about to now. What happens is, as they get older, and the older they get, the bigger chances of getting that disease to be active in their body, and that creates what we call shingles. Shingles does have an impact on these patients because it's very uncomfortable to have, very painful, and does create an impact in their lifestyle. Also, this vaccine, though, when they were studying it, it didn't meet that surrogate endpoint of antibody response, and the fact is it does help the patients a lot of times, help them with the prevention of the disease that they have. So that's shingles. The next one I'd like to share with you is pneumonia. The pneumonia is a life-threatening disease that, according to the CDC, just last year alone, there were 4 million cases of pneumonia. 36% was strep pneumonia, which had a fatality rate of 12%. So these patients are at risk, especially the older patients. And again, this vaccine, once it was introduced, it didn't meet the endpoint of having effect on these patients that would help them, and also had the surrogate endpoint of antibody response, which once they were immunized, they showed response to the vaccine, so it did help them prevent against pneumonia. And the third one is the flu vaccine. With the flu vaccine, which you probably are more familiar with, the fact is that affects a lot of patients, and affects patients from the teenage years all the way to the elderly. Now, the disease burden is more dangerous and life-threatening for those elderly patients that are over 50 or 60 years of age compared to the younger generation, but it's still, there's some life-threatening involved in all ages. The other thing, it does have the response, once the patient is vaccinated, the antibody response is there, so it does help the patient with the fever, the discomfort, and all the symptoms that come with flu vaccine. So those are the 3 vaccines that I want you to make a decision. If you were the FDA, who will you give the accelerated approval based on the facts that I just given you? Okay, now that you have time to work out and decide which vaccine you would vote as the one that should get the accelerated approval, I will go over each one of them and give you the reasons why you should pick the one that I'm about to tell you. Let's start with shingle vaccine. As I mentioned before, shingles does prevent a lot of burden in the community. I mean, a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, and also didn't meet some of the requirements that we talked about, the FDA requirements that they're looking for. It does work, but shingles really is not a life-threatening disease that really threatens that many people and causes death. So that one was not the one. Okay, if you chose the flu vaccine, you're not totally wrong, because it does meet the requirement of it's a life-threatening disease, it does benefit the patient, and it does show an endpoint of antibody response when the patient is vaccinated because it helps them. The only thing is that many companies make this vaccine, and also the strain changes from year to year. So due to that fact, that's not the one that you really should have chosen totally as the one for accelerated approval. Now the last one, which I'm sure by now you know is the one that should be the one that you pick for accelerated approval, is the pneumonia vaccine, because as I mentioned, remember 4 million Americans a year do come down with pneumonia, and 36% of those come down with strep pneumonia, and that has 12% of mortality rate. So the disease burden is there, the danger of dying is there, and also the fact that those people are vaccinated, it does work at a great rate. If you like what we presented to you with vaccines, I would recommend a career in pharmaceutical sales if that's something that you found interesting. Now, if you're thinking about how do I get in pharmaceutical sales, one of the things I would do is definitely you need a college degree. You will not get hired with a college degree, so right now what I would do is plan your college career and decide what major you want to be in. If pharmaceutical sales is something that interests you, I would definitely look at some science courses, business courses, because pharmaceutical sales involves many things. It's not just talking about the science with the doctors at a very high level of knowledge of science, but also you have to know the business world around it, because when you go to a doctor's office, it's a business. Whether you like it or not, it's still a business. So these doctors want to know what benefit their patients, how do they provide a good benefit to the patients, and how can they keep their office running. So the fact that you better make sure you know your science, you know your business, and your personality is something that you can involve around all that knowledge, that's what you want to look at. It's a very exciting career. I've been in it for 17 years. Started pharmaceutical sales, became a district manager, and the fact is that there's nothing more fun when you go there talking to the doctors. You're helping lives, because when you do vaccines, when you do products, it's really a benefit to the patients. So when you walk in that office and you see those patients right in the waiting room, you know that you're helping patients on a day in and day out. Whether you're in pediatrics, women's health, general practice, you're always helping patients. So it's an exciting career. I love it because it's always fun meeting new people, meeting new friends in the business world, and also in the hospital environment is something also that is part of the pharmaceutical sales. So I love it. I would recommend it to anyone, and it's an exciting career, and it's fun. And in anything you do, if you're having fun, you're going to be good at it. That's for sure. Thank you very much.